I'm Colonel Bo Greitz, featured by General William C. Westmoreland in his memoirs, A Soldier Reports as the American Soldier. I have a 6th-degree black belt in Korean Taekwondo. I've been trained for over 35 years and have trained people all over the world. I was in charge of special operations during the Vietnam War. I have trained the Mujahideen Afghan freedom fighters. I've been in Saudi Arabia as an advisor, and I commanded special forces in Latin America. When I wanted to teach martial arts during my spike training to Americans, I chose the best, and that is simply Bob Spear. Bob Spear is a 6th-degree black belt Hapkidoist, and he is, in 2 words, the best. I highly recommend, without qualification, ask that you obtain all of Bob Spear's videos on self-defense. I guarantee you that in these times where you can't always depend upon the government to take care of you, these videos will fill in the gap. I'm certain you're going to get more than your money's worth. Bob is the man that I call on, and I'm here happy to recommend that you do the same. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bob Spear. In this tape, we're going to study how to fight in close and in confined spaces. A lot of times, our traditional martial arts don't teach us how to fight the end game. They always try to keep everybody at a long distance and a long range. Well, that's fine if you can work it. But what happens when the guy surprises you and tackles you from behind, or gets in close, or attacks you when he's there and you didn't expect the attack because he just looked like any other person walking down the street, and all of a sudden he's in on you. So we're going to look at today how to get away from holds and chokes. We're going to talk about come-alongs. We're going to talk a little bit about frisking and getting out of frisks. And we're also going to talk about rolling around on the floor, getting dirty, and how to do that. We're going to talk about fighting against walls and in corners. And finally, we'll talk about fighting from a seated position on a chair. So we've got a lot of things to cover, a little time to do it in, so let's get started. This is my son, Pat. Now, Pat is going to choke me with a hand type of choke. Now, normally this would not be realistic. Why? Because people don't choke like this. They get in close to use the strength of their arms, and that's good, because I can work with that. For instance, one of the things that I can do is just push him away. The easiest way to push him away is to make a little spear out of my fingers and just push right here. And this is very uncomfortable, right at the base of the throat. Right here, you can push him away very easily. If that doesn't work and he comes back at you again, one thing that you can do is just come across and hit him here as you come across, and hit him here as you come back around. Show it to you again. Hit him here, hit him here. Okay? You can also, and this is especially good for women, use your upper body weight against his wrists by inserting your hand in between his arms and going for the floor to release, and then come up with the elbow, anything you can hit on the center line of the body. You can hit him in the groin, the stomach, or rip his head off by hitting him in the chin with the point of the elbow. Show that to you again. Just insert, down, and up. Boom, just like that. Good choke releases. One that takes a little more strength of the hands, but works very good, is you come in here, grasp the base of his thumbs, and put your thumb on the back of his hand, and just pull and twist. And now you're doing a pretzel number on him, just like that. Notice his reactions immediately go down. Why? He's trying to escape the pain. Because you're turning his wrist inward, he goes down, you go up with your knee and take out his face. So those are very, very good choke releases. Works very well. How about the guy that grabs you from behind? Well, what's the first thing you should do? Drop the chin. This is for the the arm coming around, okay? Just like that. If he grabs you from behind like this, go ahead and grab you with the choke like this. If he grabs you like this, just take your arm around like this. Look at here. We've tied up both arms. Ooh, look at this wonderful target called the short ribs right here with our fist. Boom, boom, boom. Or a ridge hand into another private part of the body. But here we can throw him, we can toss him around or whatever. And that was simple to do. He grabs me around the neck, I just come over like this. And he's winching because I'm hyperextending his elbow on this side. I will do it to the other side so you can see it. Just like this. Right in here. I hit on him all day long with the other hand. Now if he grabs me in this kind of a choke, the chin's got to go down. I can do a number of things from there. One thing I can do is start hitting back. Notice how I hit with the point of my elbow and I open my hand totally wide. It's one thing to make a fist. That makes these muscles tight. When you open the hand, all the muscles are tight and they're working in coordination with one another. You can break his ribs with this. Okay, you can go either way, like this, okay, or like this, okay? If you have to, you can bite him, just like this. You can press right here, under the elbow with your thumb, loosen up that grip and see him move, and come right around behind him into a hammerlock, right here. Now, if you've got him in a hammerlock, he could reach back and hit me in the face with his hand. So where should my head be? Down close in here, and then you push up, and you push back on the hand. Notice my head's here. He can't reach it. Try to reach it, Pat. So he can't get it. And that's a good case for short hair, you see. He can't grab my hair, unlike me. Okay? So those are some ways that you can get out of chokes from either in front or behind. How about the Buckaroo Bob type of headlock from the side? Like this. There's a couple ways. One is to reach back like this against his eyes with your fingers or your knife edge of your hand, just like this. At the same time, you lift his leg and dump him on the ground. Reach back, lift up. And it really is disconcerting. It doesn't take strength at all. This guy could be the strongest pro wrestler in the world, but if you're working against his eyes, there's no muscles on the front of the eyes. I'm sorry, guys, but there's no protection there. And you just lift up and drive him home into the ground. A more subtle way of dealing with that is to pinch right here along his leg. Here is this tendon that runs right here. You push your finger in on it, and you push like this. Now, he's ticklish. You saw him react. What it does, it's called a release point. I would do it. Go ahead. Okay. I will do it like this. I will push his arm away, and I will collapse his leg, just like that. I push his arm away using my thumb and this nerve point right here. Right here. It loosens the arm up, and I'm pushing him off while I'm collapsing the leg, and I'm right behind him now. He's really, really off balance. If he grabs me from in front with a headlock like this around my neck, I come straight up with a wrench hand or a fist. I don't mess around with him because that's a very dangerous hold to have to deal with. And so you hurt him good. That works. How about the guy that grabs you in a bear hug? Now, it's hard to bear hug me because I'm the bear. But the way to deal with that is you use your hips. You drive them back into his groin and stomach. At the same time, you throw your arms straight out like this. Okay? This. Come back and hit. I've used that in a combat situation, and I know it works. It works very well. The guy was on the floor groveling around, grabbing himself. If he grabs you around the waist, under the arms, here he's got his hands locked. Not a problem. You can either press on his muscles with your thumbs like this. It hurts. Okay? Or what you can do is just grab a thumb, or if he laces his fingers like this, lace your fingers. Grab a finger. Fingers are wonderfully easy things to control. Just like this. Again, I can drive him straight down if I want to. Okay? I can hit him. I can use it as a come along, say come along with me. But he is mine to control at that point. Or if he grabs like this, all right, I can loosen him up a little bit by pressing. Okay, here, I can press against his fist. And here I have a wrist lock. All right, so there's a lot of things I can do from that point. Now, What about the guy that does a bear hug from in front? This is very dangerous because he's really putting a lot of pressure on the back. But look what's here. Ears. Boxing both ears coming like this. Bang! Or pressing against that base of the throat right in there. Or if you're fighting for your life, take your thumbs and put them in the inner corners of his eyes and press straight back and pop out his eyeballs. Just like that. Then you put them in your hands and you say, here's looking at you. So that's a good way to work it. Also, if he bear hugs from there, I get my hand up in here and I come into him like this. I'm working against that old Adam's apple. It's very vulnerable. I'm using the bony part of my arm and I'm just in a vise, bringing them together like this. So there's a lot of things I can use. Some of the pressure points don't work on people. For instance, I could do pressure points. I could do this one right here where we're coming in like this, or we're coming down like this. However, if a person is doing PCP and they don't feel pain, pressure points don't work. I know there's complete fighting systems built on pressure points. They work great for some people. If they're ticklish or touchy like Pat is, they work fine. But if they're like me, who's had them done on so many times, they don't bother me at all. Go ahead and press a pressure point on me, Pat. See, it's no big deal for me. It doesn't hurt me. But if I reach Pat here, you see the wince and everything else. He hasn't had it done as much as I have. So it depends. Pressure points are not universal. But you know what's neat? Right here, this skin right back here, take a little bitty piece of that skin and just pinch it. It feels like a hot flame has been applied to the arm. And if somebody is choking you like this, okay, you just come up here and just pinch the little pieces of skin right under the arms, and it's like a shock. It's just, and they release. Hurts? Hurts. Okay. All right, so those are some things you can do for the straight-on confrontation of people grab you and things like this. If they grab you by the wrist, all you have to do is open the hand as wide as possible, just like this, and work against the thumb. And you can go at any angle. It doesn't matter. As long as you work against the thumb, he can't hold you. If he's got you by both hands, no problem. Work against the thumbs. If you want a little reinforcement, just come down here and work it this way. If he's got really strong hands, you can use two hands too. But always work against the thumbs. Always open up the hand. Why? Because when you close the hand, go ahead and stick your hand, just one hand around. You'll see this. If I make a fist, you see the distance between his thumb and his finger right here? And if I make a fist, it really doesn't change much. But what happens when I open my hand up wide? See the expansion? And that's what pulls away from it. And there's many, many things you can do. Combinations which are part of Hapkido. For instance, for blue belt, the first step above white belt, we had to learn 35 escapes from just somebody grabbing straight on wrist, hand to wrist like that. 35 escapes. There are literally thousands of techniques in Hapkido. But it works very nicely. There's lots of things I can do. Okay, and they all hurt. They all work against joints, and they bend joints in unnatural ways, and they throw and break joints while they throw. But a lot of things you can do. But if you just get away, just pull away, just like this. And even if it's crossed wrist, just pull away against the thumb. I could choose to lock him up just like this and rip out his tendon. But don't have to. Just pull away. And come back into him and hit him. All right. So those are some things that you can do. Well, let's say that you've got a nasty guy, and it's a bar type of situation. You ever shake hands with somebody, and they try to squeeze your hand as hard as they can to make you hurt and wince and everything? Well, Pat's going to squeeze my hand, and I'm just going to put my finger right here. Right here. Not the flat of my finger, but the point of my finger. Right here. Doesn't hurt him, but it takes all his strength away. Go ahead and squeeze. Are you squeezing yet? Okay. Now, once you do that, and he starts looking at you and saying, whoa, this guy's weird, I'm not hurting him, then you hurt him by bringing your thumb across the base of his thumb, just like this. You've got him locked up. I can do a lot of things here. Look at how low he is. I can kick with my knees. I can come over and bring him back around, all kinds of stuff. So, very subtle. I press with the finger here, and then I just bring down, see how I've got his thumb trapped between the top of my hand and my thumb right across this bottom thumb joint. It hurts. Now let's talk about come-alongs. These are arresting techniques to make sure somebody comes with you and comes compliantly. We were shaking hands just a minute ago and making sure the guy wouldn't squeeze us too hard. Now let's see how we can use a handshake as a come-along. We can come like this and just pull him off balance. While we're pulling him, we just pivot so we're right here. See how my arm comes over his arm? Now I bend his hand back, and I have my arm under his elbow, and I grab my own arm right here. Notice he moves around very readily. All I have to do is lift up with my hand and push back on his hand to put all kinds of stress on two joints, the wrist and the elbow. Very, very easy come along from a handshake. Okay, you know, this is the thing you do when the guy says, well, let's shake over it, and you want him out of your restaurant or whatever. Say, sure, be glad to. And then you pull him right here, and there it is, right there. Let's go out of here. Okay? Another thing you can do is you can grab him on this part of the hand right here and pull him and come underneath and just kind of cause his arm to bend into your chest. And then you put what we call the gooseneck or the citizen's arrest come along. Here it is right here. Like this and like this, you pull down. If you have a buddy on the other side doing the same thing, you've got a lot of control over this individual. Right like that. You can either do it from this angle, like this, or you can grab from this angle right here and pull him. See how I pull him with my finger in this release point? Just pull him into here, and now I've got it right here. Okay, you can also use it like this with the fingers, just like that. Pull him in like that, and that hurts a lot. Okay? So those are ways you can do it. But one of my favorites is, let's say this guy has a bunch of buddies, and you've got to get out of the bar or wherever you are, and you don't want to get hurt, and you want to keep him between you and his buddies. So we do what we call a cross-carotid lockup. Now we can either grab the wrist here, or we can shake the hand here. This works. This is excellent from a handshake. Pull him hard through so that your body is right behind his shoulder. Now you've got his elbow against your ribs, the end of the ribs. You've got the center of your chest right behind his shoulder, right here. And you can hold his hand like this, or you can hold his arm. It doesn't matter, okay? But you come across here, reach across, and put this part of your hand. Now when I open my hand, you can see the tendon start standing out. You put it right against the carotid artery over here. And we call it cross-carotid because I'm going across his body, and I'm going to pull him back this way. It's uncomfortable. It's not excruciating, but it's uncomfortable. But notice how I can control him, and I can back out of there. I can keep him in front. If he tries to do anything, I can just put the pressure on him, and all I have to do one of these types of extensions right here, and puts a lot of force on his back, puts a lot of force on his shoulder, a lot of force on his elbow, and if I have the hand, I'm putting force there. And then I'm cutting off some wind in front and cutting off some blood supply in the side. Not completely, I don't have both sides, but at least part. So he's impaired a little bit. But the key point is, he's an excellent body shield, and his buddies can't get to you easily, and that's important. It's called a cross-carotid lockup. And it's done either with a handshake or grabbing the arm and arm drag, pulling him through, and here it is right here. And I'm bringing back across my body, and here we are. Okay? Those are some good come-alongs. Fingers are good come-alongs. Just reach down and grab a finger. Just like this. Let's go. If he tries to kick us or hit us, just put on a lot more pressure and he'll stop. So fingers are very, very good for come-alongs. One of the interesting things is the full Nelson. We know the full Nelson where we grab the guy behind the head like this, but this was much better. You take the collarbones right in here. Take your fingers and press them down behind the collarbone like this. And you notice his reaction. What you do is you grab a hold of the collarbones themselves. Okay, notice where he goes. Straight down. This hurts. But you can grab a hold of those collarbones. If he still wants to fight, all you have to do is go yank, and you've just broken both collarbones, and his arms will not work. You've taken mechanical support for his arms away. If you've got a buddy, if we're working in a team, you grab the collarbones, your buddy grabs his feet, you lift and carry. It's a two-man carry. Very hard for him to fight against that. because it's absolutely excruciating. And even if you can't feel it, you can take away the mechanical supports by breaking the collarbones, and then there's nothing those arms will do. They literally cannot work without the collarbone support. So I like the modified full Nelson, just like this. Come up and grab, hand and hang on. And if he fights too much, just go rip, just like that. He belongs to you at that point. Okay. How about frisking? Let me show you the standard police frisk where they put you up against the wall or up against the car. Looks something like this. And they get you spread out of balance and everything else. Now, Pat comes up behind me, puts a leg in between my legs and presses against my hips with his hip, like that, all right? All I have to do is what a wrestler would call a vertical sit-out. I bring one hand, it doesn't matter which one, I bring it across my body and place it beside the other one. At the same time, I shoot through that leg. So if this hand moves, this leg moves. Shoot through, come around, grab, and slam him into the wall. And I can do it either side, it don't matter. This side right here. Notice how, when I come around, I'm cupping my hand, I hit him right back here. It rings your bells. It really does. It totally disorients you because it jars the fluid in the inner ear. And it's like, like that, okay? Pop. Right here, back here, pop. Okay? You're popping him, and you're grabbing butt or belt or whatever, and just slamming him into the bricks or into the car. That works very well. Now, if he does a modification of that where he is straddling my front leg like this, coming behind me, okay, bring this leg goes in front. And you come in a little closer to me, like that. Okay? Then what you do is you reach through and you grab something in between the legs, okay? Or you can come back like this. See how off balance he is? And push him down and away. You can see readily that these are not very good frisks. But let me show you one that is. Kneel down. Okay. Cross one ankle over the other. Take your hands and lace them behind your head. A little bit higher. Right in here. Okay. What you do, and I'll show this from a couple of angles, you bring one foot between his 2 feet, right here. The same side hand, if it's the left foot, it's the left hand. I grab his fingers like this. I pull him back and around. Okay? Want to try it again? Okay. Pull him back and around. Now, see how off balance he is? If I let go, he falls. I can frisk him upper body fairly easy from here. Then to change hands, I just grab here, change feet, and go back this way, like this. I've got him resting on my knee. He's totally off balance. If I let go, he falls. Okay? Face the wall, do the same thing. We'll get it from this angle. Now I can either put my foot in between his feet right here, or sit up a little bit. I can press down against both ankles with my foot. That hurts a lot more, but I'm unbalanced. So I prefer putting my foot in between his feet so they can't uncross. I grab his fingers right here, pull him back around like this. And there we are. Okay. That's a fairly safe frisk. Works pretty well. Now, if you're frisked, what are you frisking for? Things that might hurt you. Okay? So you want to check the hair. Okay? You check down the spine, under the shoulder blades, under the armpits, down the pants, into the crack. On the front, you check the center line, you check above and under the breast, you check the belt line, you check the groin, you check the inner parts of the legs and all the way down to the shoes. Now, true story. We had a young man in one of our training sessions who had been an MP over in Europe, had been on a counter-terrorist team, and they had been taught to frisk. And he was relating the story of the man that was teaching them. And he had weapons hid all over the place. And they had him frisked, man. They had a pile of weapons about 2 feet high. The things they had pulled off this guy. He said, well, did you get them all? He said, oh yeah, we got them all. He said, okay, well, let me go. So they let go of him. He turns around, he unzips his fly, out pops a grenade. And the spoon flies off, and it's a practice grenade. It goes bang. And the MP's about had a heart attack. The reason why they didn't find it, they were too namby-pamby about feeling in the groin. So if you're feeling, you feel. If it's a lady, I'm sorry, this is not a free cop of a feel. It is a thing that we do to protect ourselves. You feel in and around the breasts. Okay, we don't make it overtly sexual, but we do check to make sure there's nothing there, because a lady can have a derringer down between the breast and the cleavage, or she could have under the bra a razor blade with some cardboard taped to the sharp edge that she could bring out and slice you with it. You know, it pays to be careful. In the same way with the groin, you've got to check it out. No, I'm not posing for centerfold of Playgirl magazine. I'm illustrating that 85% of street fights end up rolling around on the ground. It's actually a pretty good place to fight from, as I will show you. For instance, if I was tripped or knocked down to the ground, and my son Pat comes in from in front of me, I'm going to be able to use my feet to very good effect. If he gets too close, coming a little bit, I can grab him with one foot behind his ankle and the other foot to break his knee right here, like that. Okay? Now you'll need to back up just a little bit. If he is coming in at me and he starts moving this way, it's very easy for me to move with him. You see this? Boom. These are very effective weapons. The feet that I have out here, they're very effective blocking guards. Okay? If he moves too far that way, it's very easy for me to flip-flop hips over to the other side here. You know, and it's the same thing. Boom. If I need to flip again, I can do it just like this, rolling from one to the other. I can hook this way, a hooking type kick. If he comes straight on at me, into my feet, boom, right there. A thrusting kick into the groin. Let's say I've been thrown and he is behind me. I'm down like this, and he's going to stomp me. Hey, lifts his foot up above my head to stomp me, okay? I can't keep him from kicking my face in even if I put my arm up. However, I can deflect the kick and turn the foot. Either way. I can break his ankle, I can trip him up, I can put him on the ground with me. So there are things that I can do from here. In fact, this is a good place to be under certain conditions. In fact, there are certain conditions I will purposely go right down to the ground and fight from there. Those conditions are uncertain footing, like being on ice or being on slick pavement or on a very steep hillside. I will fight from the ground. It's just easier. It's far more stable for me to do that. Okay? Now, there is a wonderful exercise that you can do to get accustomed to fighting down here, rolling around in the mud with all the pigs. Okay? I call it the back-to-back exercise. My son Pat will sit behind me. He will put his back against my back. And we can either call the signal or have a third party call the signal, go. And at that point, we turn and fight one another. There's only one rule. You cannot get up above your knees. You cannot stand up. You have to fight on the ground. So if somebody were to say go, and Pat starts to turn, and I start to turn, and we come into each other and we fight for one another. The thing is, anything goes, you just have to use control. You can choke, you can joint lock. If you hit, you have to pull the punch. You can't really hurt him. But you can at least prove to him that the punch would have been there. You can come in, slap him on the face or whatever in a light manner. The golden rule applies here. You don't want to hurt each other. You want to learn. You want to train. There's a lot of things that you can do from here. We talked about getting out of chokes before. Let's see how you get out of chokes when you're down on the ground. Pat's going to straddle me from in front here. There's a lot of me to straddle too. Okay, if he chokes me like this, all I have to do is bring an arm up over his arm under the other one. This looks familiar. Yes. Here we are. Wow. Look what's open here. His groin, his ribs. Okay, I can push him away. All right, let's try it again. We'll go the other way. Now, it's going to be hard to go this way. You know why? See, he's got this leg up. He's braced this way. But even so, we can do it right there. And I can hit him and elbow him in the ribs, okay, and really hurt him, okay? Let's say he's doing an armbar choke where he's coming down like this, coming around. Very dangerous choke down here. I have to go for the eyes or the nose, or I'm going to push with my fingers against the base of his throat and push him up and off of me, just like that. Okay? As he's coming down, I can also grab a few ribs. If he's ticklish, I can work with him that way. Look what's here, the groin. I can grab and squeeze. As he comes down onto you, you can help him along by grabbing his hair and pulling, or his ears, pulling them down sharply into your own head. Your head is harder than the soft facial bones of his face. You can use your knee to pop him a good one right back here and send him flying over you. Turn around this way a little bit. If he is choking you like this, you can work against the elbows and you could use your hips to send him this way. And notice I just hipped him and it threw him off balance. If I push on the backs of his elbows while I hip him, this is what happens. See how off balance he is? Look what's available to me. All his undercarriage there is showing. Okay. So you're not helpless here on the ground. Now, let me show you a couple other things. Let's say I'm seated. In the Orient, in the restaurants, people sit on the floors. We had to learn a number of defenses from the floor for situations like that. Let's say Pat comes up to me right here, okay? And he gets close to me. Great. All I have to do is stabilize a foot or a leg, use my arm right here against right below his knee. See, here's his knee, right below his knee, and just press. He's going to go. He can't help but go. If I did that fast, probably break the knee. Let's say he grabs my hair. Now, there's not much to grab on me, but that's okay. All I have to do is just hold him real tight to my head and bow. And it puts intolerable pressure on the wrist. From the front, it looks like this. It's the same thing, just grab up here. You just hold down and you just bow. And see how disadvantaged he is? Here we are. Okay, it hurts. I can break his knees with my feet from that point. There's a lot of things I can do. You are not helpless on the ground. It's a good environment to fight in, as long as you know what to do. Now, there are things you can study. Hapkido is one of them. Amateur wrestling is another. You know, in Germany, when I was studying judo there in the Olympic Training Center in Frankfurt many, many years ago, we Americans, there were a number of us in the club. We and the Germans were about equal when it came to throwing one another. But when we got down and started doing mat work and wrestling around there, the Americans cleaned the Germans' clocks. Why? We were all ex-wrestlers from high school and junior high school. They had never done amateur wrestling in their lives. It's a cultural thing. We knew the subtleties of weight shifts and balance shifts and the leverages and things like that down on the ground. We were accustomed to doing that. They had never done it. It wasn't an equal fight at all. You need to practice these things. It's one thing to get my tapes. I appreciate that. I hope it helps you, but it will only help you if you get down and roll around and try some of these things with a friend. It's very, very important that you practice the techniques that we show you here. Now, you can also get my books. We'll talk about those in a little bit, but you can get my books and practice the techniques in there. You've got to do, you just can't see. It's one thing to sit in your armchair and intellectualize and say, oh yes, I understand, I see the leverage, yeah, that works. But you don't really know that it works until you experience it. My teacher used to say, learning equals pain. A lot of sweat in the gym means little blood on the street. And that's exactly what it takes, a lot of hard work. Let's talk about fighting in confined spaces, like up against walls or in corners. Now, a lot of people are afraid to put their back against the wall because they're afraid they'll be trapped against the wall. But I see walls as friends. There's someone who can guard and protect my back, especially if there's a huge fight, a big barroom brawl or something going on. I can back up against that wall. I can see everything out in front of me and don't have to worry about somebody nailing me from behind. But the wall is something that you can use. It's just an extension of yourself. For instance, if my son comes up and tries to paste me in the mouth, all I have to do is redirect his fist into the wall. Oh my goodness, we've just broken all these knuckles on this fine brickwork here. It didn't take much, did it? All I had to do is just turn my body and deflect. I used the hand across to deflect, but I can also use the same side hand to deflect, just like this. And look what I have here. I have a hyperextended elbow. It doesn't take much from that point on just to break the elbow right here and slam him, boom, into the wall. On this side, it's the same thing. Okay, here, boom. Very easy to take him into the wall. I don't have to work just with the arms. If he comes in with this fist, I can step inside and crash his head into the wall like this. Even if he's up close to me and wrestling around, I may grab his head and pull him back into the wall like this, knee him with my knee. In other words, I'm using this wall. Now, if I want to get away from the wall and he's coming in on me, I use my hip to bounce myself off the wall and add force to my strike to his body. Okay? So it's here, but see, I can bounce off of it. Bounce off of it. Okay? As he comes in, I can come down along the wall this way. Or come down the wall this way. And look at here. It's all open right in here. It's the same thing if he tries to kick me. Okay? Right there. Doesn't take much for me to deflect it. And I can go either way. Here. Look at what's open here. Boom. Do the other leg. See? This is all open here. All I have to do is deflect. If he uses a knee, I can come in. See how I use my leg? Try the other knee. I use my leg to come inside his knee kick. Then all I have to do is pull him into the wall and use it. The harder that wall is, the more damage on him. Now, let's go down here to the corner. We'll come in here. Now I've got two buddies. I've got two walls. Meeting in a corner behind me gives me even more options. I can slam him either side. So if he comes in on me, boom, right here, like this. Not only if I slammed him into this wall, but I have this wall to give me more impetus to forearm shiver to the back of his neck or head and really, really waste it. Okay, if he comes in again, I can take him this way. And here we are. I've plowed his head into the wall. Bang with a knee kick. Bang with a knife edge. Bang with a forearm shiver. These are there for me to use. If you've got me really tight, let's say he comes in with a kick. You see, I don't have much lateral motion, you'd think. But I can shove off and meet the attack as it's coming in right here. See, I can lift him up and dump him. I can deflect it this way and catch it. Come in and trip this way and take him down. There's so many things, and it gives me stability. I've got very bad legs. It's hard for me sometimes to stand up because of the pain of the arthritis and everything. But this gives me stability. I can take it easy. I can chill out against the wall. He's coming in on me. That's fine. I can work with it. He hits at me. Right there. All I have to do is deflect into the wall. And look at this. All this is fair target area right here. That is very, very hurtable. Here's the kidneys here. The ribs here. The neck and head here. The joints here. All that is wide open. I could use my knee and kick the inner part of his thigh on the other side and collapse his leg. The possibilities are endless. So the bottom line is this. The wall and the corners are for your protection. They're there for you to use. They can back you up, protect your back. They can give you things, obstacles to hit people into, and they're also a foundation that you can shove off of. They give you a little bit more force, they'll give you a little bit more speed, just give you a little bit of an edge in fighting that guy that's coming at you. Let's take a look at a final scenario. You're seated at a restaurant, minding your own business, and somebody wants to start a fight or comes in to give you a problem. You may be trapped behind a table or a booth, but you're not helpless. There are things that you can do. For instance, if Pat were to come in here and give me a hard problem and give me no choice, I could just reach up, grab him by the ear, or grab him by the hair, or if he had a long dangly earring, I could grab that, whatever, to bring him straight down into the table like this. That could definitely ruin his whole evening. Something I could do also, here is a fork. Even this plastic fork could give some real problems. If he comes in and gets too close to me, I might grab him, yank him down, and bring this up right into the eye. I can really fork him over, okay? Another wonderful tool is a glass or a coffee cup or a beer mug. This is a plastic one, or a paper one for safety's sake, but I would grab a glass one or a ceramic one by the bottom, okay? Put it in the palm of my hand. As he gets too close, I just come straight up into his face like this. And I could hit right on, around the nose, or I could hit off center, it don't matter. But you've got all the force concentrated on this very thin rim. If the glass shatters, the shards go right into the face. Boom, like that. A very, very effective tool. So there's a lot of things you can do from here. Even if he comes in again, I can get a leg free. As he's coming up, I can use a kick. Boom! It's a stomp kick. It might not hurt him that badly, but it might give me enough room to get him back so I can slide out of my chair or the booth so I can deal with him on a more equal basis. But you're not helpless at a table or in a booth. Now, what if you're driving a car? And let's say Pat's on this side over here, and this is the driver's window, and he reaches in. Here I am seated at the car, and he reaches in to grab me. I love it. I just reach over here, reach right behind him, and bring him in and just nail him on the steering wheel. The steering wheel becomes my weapon. I just bring him down, boom, right like that, right into the steering wheel. Then I might just hold on and floor it. Either way, because the car is like a 2-ton weapon. It's a wonderful, wonderful device to really put some hurt on this guy. Okay, that's where I was dealing with his arm. I could also deal with the hand. As he comes in to grab me, I just grab his hand. Here I am. I've got him in the lock right here. Again, I could deal with either one. I hold on to him, maybe raise the window up, catch him in the window, and take off, dragging him down the street. So there are things that you can do. You're not helpless. You just have to use your head a little bit. It does take practice. You need to try out some of these things for yourself to see how they work. It's very important that you not only watch these videos, but that you actually try them. And if you get my books, which we'll tell you about at the end of this video, it'll help you even more because there are so many possibilities and so many techniques in the books that are very, very effective and that will give you an extra edge in protecting yourself or your family against an assailant.